Good morning, everyone. Melissa here with Build a Better Bakery again for another live session with you, talking all about alternative income options for our bakers here in the community. Because I know you're out there, you're baking, you're pushing, you are trying to get followings for that. But I want to give you some other options just in case you want to maybe switch it up, or you want to add something to your business, or you just want to see what's out there outside of just your normal baking routine, because I have found a lot of success with this, and I think that it's something that you can do too. So we're going to be covering skill sharing today, which is part of the June theme of the alternative option income stream options for bakers. So this is just one thing we're going to cover this month. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. You can throw up your hashtag replay if you're viewing on the replay so that I know you've seen the content. We're going to take just a few minutes to talk about this today. So again, if you have questions, put them in the comments. You can send me a DM too on the platform if you want to know more about what we're talking about. And I think that the concept of skill sharing is going to be interesting for you if you're a certain type of person. So I'm going to go through that in just a few minutes. So you can kind of decide today, is this something you want to pursue? Is it something that sounds good? I have found it to continue to make my business exciting. I'm almost 17 years in now, so it's been a long time. And it's helped me gain connections in my communities. It's giving me more insight into what I actually want to do with my time, how I want to run certain things, and just kind of, on top of regular baking, getting out of that routine and trying something new, essentially. So if we've never met before, I'm Melissa Fryer. I'm the main mentor at Build a Better Bakery, which is the business that runs this group you're in here. Or if you're viewing on YouTube, I'm me. That's why I run. That's who runs this page. And Build a Better Bakery is myself and a couple other military spouses who like to share our input and insight and expertise to help bakers with their businesses. And what I like to do is really help people find more control in what they're doing. A lot of us just kind of get into this either by accident or, slowly build it up into a point where sometimes it feels out of control because it's either not going the way we want it to go, or it's growing too fast, or we're just not sure where to move next, what to do next with our time. So I like to help people find control in many different ways, depending on where you're at in your business, but also hold on to the joy, because if you do this long enough, or even if it's just been a short period of time, it can be very overwhelming. So there's a lot that I do to help people just kind of figure out where to cut the fat, what to focus on, just make their time on this earth, better, more joyful. Because if we're going to bake, we should be having fun, right? And then also a sustainable income is going to be important too. If you want to continue with your business, you want to continue serving your community, you have to be able to bring income in to cover what you're doing, right? So I want to make sure that everyone feels good with their businesses in that respect as well. And as I mentioned, I'm about 17 years into this, so almost 20 years of experience in both commercial and home space baking. So I know quite a bit about both, and if you are one of those people, which you likely are, I even have a little bit of experience with online sales, food trucks, all that kind of stuff. I can definitely help you out, so that's why I'm here. All right, so here at Build a Better Bakery, I mentioned the theme for June is the alternative income streams. We covered one last week, and we're going to cover a couple more every Thursday here in the group at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. That's where it goes live, and then I usually share to YouTube pretty soon after that. So either place that you want to be is fine to get that information. And I just want to help you incorporate some of these into your business if you feel that it's a good fit. So I just want to cover some of it today and answer your questions if you have any. All right, so if you want to stay in the know about these lives, you can also throw up your hashtag live if you're here with me live. I'm trying to bring it up on this format here so I can see the comments, but I'm not, for some reason it's not. There we go. Perfect. Hey, Melanie. Okay, good. So that's been pulled up. So I will definitely read things you're posting in if you have questions. What you can do is check the events in the Facebook group for upcoming sessions. That's where you can check if there's workshops you want to attend, if there's these live sessions you want to attend, what they're about, etc. You can check there. You can also send a friend request to me on Facebook, Melissa Fryer. That will allow the system to send you invites to new events. So check the events that are already up, and then if you send the friend request, I'll accept it, and then you'll be able to get the next ones just automatically through the Facebook platform. You can also hang out on the email list for direct replay links. I do send them later, so it's not as instant as the YouTube and the Facebook platform, but you will get it at some point, and then that will be in your email. So that's a good thing to have on hand. And then lastly, subscribing to the YouTube channel is a great way to have that kind of video catalog right there for you. It's a little easier to navigate than it is here on Facebook. So being over there is a good option too. And you can subscribe, join the email list. It's all free. So getting on there is a good option. As I mentioned, I go live every Thursday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time right here in the Bakery Business School group on Facebook for this. For right now, I may switch this to YouTube at some point, but right now we're still staying in the group. And I just want to make sure you're getting new, fresh content. I want to stay consistent for you. I want you to be able to ask your questions, to get in here and view things that you're interested in. So we're going to hop right in with how skill sharing can help you love your business more, because that's what it's done for me. It can help you stay creative. That's what it's also done for me. And make you more income on top of your baking. It's just another way to do this. And you're still talking about baking and you're still kind of in that arena. So it shouldn't feel too super foreign to you because the concept of it and what you're talking about is something that you're doing anyway. Over the years, I've taken a number of opportunities when it comes to skill sharing. And I do want to, there's 4 specific ones I want to talk to you about. And as I mentioned, because I've been doing this professionally for almost 17 years now, it honestly really was a fresh breath of air to start doing this and being consistent with it, because I was feeling it had been so long that I just didn't feel challenged anymore when it came to baking. And it, I love doing it, but it just, it's monotonous. It becomes kind of overwhelming in a different way. Less so that I don't know what I'm doing, but more so it's just the same. So I really appreciated starting skill sharing, and it's still really exciting because each class is different and I'm planning them and it's still creative. So, and I've been doing this for probably, the baking ones I think have been about 8 years, 6 years or 8 years. I can't remember which location I started it at. And then I was teaching other types of creative classes even before that. So it's been a long time with that, but it's still very fun and creative. And I will say the 7 or 10 year itch in your baking business is real. So if you're about hitting those right now and you're feeling like you're wanting to throw everything away and start a new life, I think that happens to a lot of us, so that you're not alone there. So as you get further and further into your career, even if you're just on year 1 and you're moving on to year 2, you're going to start to notice what you love to do more than other things, right? Maybe you just really love making cakes, or maybe you just really love sourdough. Something is popping out as one of your favorites. Or maybe you love talking about business like I do. There's multiple things that you can love about what you do. And then also keep in mind what people tend to get interested in when you're talking to them about what you do. And also the questions that you get from maybe clients or people around you. These would be perfect skill sharing opportunities. Every location is different. So you might find certain things that your community really wants to know about that might be different somewhere else. So just keep in mind, if you move a lot like me, those things might change. So if you can plan these out well and invite a good amount of people to join you and then market them, you now have another income option if you want to take a break from baking. So maybe at some point you want to take a break from this, or maybe you want to concentrate on something else, even if you're still baking a little bit, you just want your time to be spent elsewhere, which is what I did when I had my first baby. Or even if you just want to pair it with your normal baking and just create a new thing that you're doing, all perfectly reasonable. I right now have a trusted rhythm that has allowed me to skill share with both kids and adults. So things can be situated for really any age. In many different settings. I've taught in lots of different places and in various states because we move so much with the military. So just kind of seeing how things are here and there has helped round out how I'm doing everything. And I can confidently say that teaching skills is not for everyone. So I'm going to talk about that at the end. Not everyone's going to love this idea, but if you can get into it and enjoy it, it's a really great income stream and a really great networking opportunity, which I'll also mention. Now, when it comes to how you approach your skill sharing, there are a number of options that I would suggest looking into. It doesn't always have to be classes. For me, that's what I'm focused on right now locally, which is like a standard public class or a standard private class format. That's mostly what I'm spending a lot of my time doing. And like I said, I teach baking related classes and other creative classes. The baking ones are just as popular as the other, but I will say the baking ones tend to have a lot more return. People who are like super interested and want to keep doing it and doing it. So just be ready for that you might have someone who's coming to every single one of your classes. These classes are at venues, homes, offices, etc. So any place that you can make this work, as long as they're okay with you being there, that could be an opportunity. For me, I like to provide everything we need. So I don't ask them to bring anything. I plan everything. You can get into some issues where if you tell them to bring a certain thing and then they bring the wrong thing, maybe to keep like the ticket cost down or something, then you're left with, what do I do with this person who brought the wrong thing, So that's why I like to bring everything. And then I plan everything step by step. They follow along with me. And it's kind of like a walkthrough class where everyone feels supported throughout the class. Pricing depends on the class activity. So I get a lot of questions about that. It's kind of like pricing a product. It's the same thing. You're gonna have to figure out prep time, class time, all the materials costs, and then maybe you have to pay the venue, so just build up your pricing just like you would with a regular product. Okay, and then here at Build a Better Bakery, you're actually experiencing a skill sharing offer, right? An opportunity that I'm giving you online because we're not local. A lot of us are not local to each other. So I'm offering skill sharing through mentorship here through this group and YouTube and all the places that we are. It's essentially the same thing. And this is usually done through online meetings, phone calls, video lessons, courses, written lessons, things like that. So it's a completely different format than if I'm teaching like a sourdough class here locally. This is more speaking, right? And answering a lot of questions and being there for someone regularly. I do mentor people locally as well. It's kind of a mix of the two. So if you're going to do mentorship and you're going to do it local, you probably should maybe meet up with them in person at a coffee shop or at your office or wherever you're at, because you want to get them in there so they can feel more comfortable with you. And usually that helps with like goal setting and communication and things and making a good connection between you both so that your mentorship can really help them out. And for this dynamic, depending on what you're teaching in this way, you might want to do a step-by-step plan that everyone goes through, or you might want to have it more, let the person that's mentoring kind of tell you what they need, and then you provide that type of mentorship for them. I do both in Build a Better Bakery, so just whichever, depending on what exactly you're teaching, either way might work for you. You'll have to figure it out. Now, other options could include things like organization affiliation. And this could be kind of like where you're a spokesperson or a speaker for a certain group. That could be tons of different options, but think of it kind of like if someone's asking you to come speak because you're a baker and they want to hear about what you do, or because you're a local entrepreneur and they want to hear about what you do. This could be set up through like the Chamber of Commerce or groups like that like to bring people in to skill share and to share information and maybe even a little bit of light mentorship with the community. And sometimes these are paid speaking gigs. So this is where that extra stream might come in for you. Or even like the mentorship style events sometimes are paid as well. Maybe you set something up, a goal setting event or something like that to help people who are starting businesses, all that kind of good stuff. And the other one I want to mention here, which I do get questions about, is recipe sharing. So I don't do this personally. I've seen lots of people do it, but I want to be clear on this one because I think a lot of people enter into this thinking it's going to be easy because they already have the recipes and everything. But, this is usually going to be like through a blog or a printed book, or maybe you have a website where you share, you sell the recipes for a couple dollars or whatever it is. That's all well and good. But I do want to warn you that this space is really crowded. There's a lot of very prominent blogs that get a ton of traffic that put out multiple recipes a day. They have great graphics. They have a lot of like ads and things. They're making a lot of money doing this. So if you want to get into this, maybe you want to get that cookbook published or whatever it is that you want to do, I think you should be prepared to spend some money. So that could be getting with a really good publisher. That could be taking courses and learning how to run a blog or start a blog or paying someone else to do it, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of work in the background. I found this out because I was like, hey, I'm going to do online mentorship when I was just baking. And it was a completely different world. It's a completely different thing. It's a ton of computer time, which usually is not my favorite. I like to do things with my hands. So just be aware, the recipe thing, do it. If you're going to do it well, because you're competing with a lot of people who are already really established. So Just know that once you get in there, it's not going to be like just typing up a recipe or two. It's going to be this whole thing. You can sell, if you already have a website, maybe selling them for a couple bucks might work on there. That might be the easiest way to do it. But I'm not sure how much traffic you're going to get and all that, depending on your following. You might have a lot of followers, and that's would work out perfectly. So if you do, then that would be good. Melanie says, information is wonderful. You're welcome. Okay, so those are the options that I have for skill sharing today. For really any kind of this type of skill sharing that you'd like to offer, you'll need to decide where you're going to host the event, even if it's online, is it Zoom, is it Facebook, like where are you going to be? How are you getting the word out? So are you advertising, are you emailing? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have a page? Like what's going on? You need to know how much is it going to cost to attend. So you need to do your pricing based on value and the actual cost of the products and everything that's happening inside of there. How long is it going to be? A really good rule of thumb with this one is it's going to take a student twice as long to do a thing that you can do. So if you made something and it took you an hour, that class is probably going to need to be 2 hours long, if that makes sense. So that's usually how I judge how long a class should be. What do you need to provide and plan for each thing that you're doing? What will the students be taking home? They need to be able to take it home safely. And how can they stay in touch for future classes? And that's like a whole marketing thing. So do we have an email list? Do we have, a place where they can follow you and be tagged? Are you taking their cell phones so you can text them? Whatever it is. Now, I know it sounds like a lot because it is. You're essentially creating an entire new arm of your business if you're deciding to go down this avenue, which is why I decided to cover all of it this month in June. If you're in the Elite Mentorship Program, you get free access to these workshops every month. If you're not, they're just $20 on the website. So it's a really good opportunity to spend about an hour getting a ton of information all at one time with bonuses, mentorship time, if you sign up before the live session, things like that. So this month's workshop, it's a perfect opportunity to get your questions answered. So if you want to try something like this, we're going to be covering the classes. So design classes, whatever, baking classes, whatever kind of class you want to offer. If you're coming, I'm going to take your questions. So even if it's something a little different or, there's a very specific question that you have, I'll be able to cover that for you in there. The live portion of that workshop is happening June 18th, which is just a few days from now. So if you want to get in, you're going to register on the website at the buildabetterbakerynow.com/workshops. You're going to register in there. If you register before the live session, you'll get mentorship time with me too. So even after you watch the hour of content, even if it's just on the replay, we'll still get to talk about what you want to talk about. Okay, so I'm trying to help everyone because I know we all have crazy schedules. So I'm doing it when it's best for me, and then you can get with me later if you miss it. Cool. Now, a few things to consider, which I mentioned at the beginning I would go over when it comes to skill sharing, to decide if it's right for you, because I've seen people try to do this and it doesn't really work out. So I want to mention this now just to make sure you feel like you're making the best choice. The first is I suggest only approaching this as an income stream if you have the heart of a teacher. So if anyone has ever told you you're a good teacher or you're a good listener or anything like that, you're probably good for this. If you don't like being around people, if that's just not how you, especially strangers, people you've never met before, if you don't like answering questions, if that bothers you or if it's too much, or explaining what you're doing, if you can't find the words to say what it is you're doing because maybe you don't know how to say it yet, or you need to practice, these options are probably not going to be fulfilling for you right now. So either learning more about how to do that, or they just might not be for you, and that's okay too. But there's a lot of that. It's like being a teacher. It can be overwhelming. It can be draining. So planning it really well, having a good relationship with your venue, making sure you have like a streamlined website so it's easy to take tickets, information, and things like that. Just having everything set up so you can spend a lot of time with your students and listening to them and giving them their answers. That is where I think the joy comes from for everyone involved. Number two, if you're able to set up a routine and plan for how you're going to skill share and do it the same every time, it can be quite lucrative. So that's where this workshop comes in. We're going to be talking about how to set it up so you really are planning the project might be different, but the planning is the same. So you're not going to be spending a ton of time and money trying to reinvent the wheel every time that you have a class. Now, all situations are different, of course. I don't know what it is you're trying, what we're going to be doing with you, or where you're even teaching. But I have seen many people, including myself, do really financially well with this. So if you're a great baker and you have good product, but for some reason you don't really feel like marketing it anymore, you don't want to keep going out to the markets and standing in the heat, you don't want to, continue with your shipping business or whatever it is that you're doing, this might be a great way to turn what you know away from the actual physical labor of baking into something else. And I've seen lots of people do it this way and take breaks, like I mentioned, doing a lot of teaching at sometimes, then doing a lot of baking other times, that kind of thing. Number 3, you'll likely need to get some new equipment. Depending on what's happening, you almost always cannot walk into something like this with no investments. You might need some more resources on hand. You might need a couple of classes like what I teach or other people teach under your belt before attempting these, since you're essentially creating a whole new arm of your business. And as an example, just a really simple example, I had to buy bowls, spatulas, and turntables for the students in a class, right? I've got so many, I can take however many students. I'm going to order these things so they can use them during the class. And that's going to be different for each class that you're teaching. So I would suggest starting with 1 or 2 types and then moving from there, because we want to not having you spend a ton at the beginning so you can figure out if you even like this or how you want to do it. And even for the online mentorship or the recipes, you might be thinking, oh, that's, I don't have to buy anything. But for me, I had to buy special insurance. I had to get a special website. I buy Zoom, like all these things that I have to do now that weren't there before. So even online work is going to include some fees or things that you need to purchase. So just expect that you're going to be spending a little money and time to get started. With any new part of your business, just know that that's going to be part of it. And then the last thing I want to mention is that imposter syndrome can keep people from sharing what they know. And I see this a lot in the online course industry specifically, and even locally. I find people that have just the most knowledge about something, but they just don't, they don't feel like they know enough about it, but I don't know anything about it. So to me, everything they're saying is interesting. So just remember, even if you're only a couple years into baking, that's how much more you know than many other people around you. Every year that you're doing this, you have another year of experience on top of the people who aren't doing it. So if you make quality work, if right now you can look at your work and say, that's quality, people love it, there's no issues, you're not in the learning stage anymore. You've gone through the learning stage and now you're an expert, you know how to do it. Once you're there and you know that you like to help people learn, that's not going to bother you, and you're willing to invest something into it, so a little money or time to get started, you can start skill sharing right away. I think you could start working on it this summer and get it set up. So remember, some people have never baked one thing in their life. When I meet them, it's like, I can't believe it, but I guess that's the way it is. Some people just don't bake anything. And most people would consider themselves beginner bakers. There's not many people really spend a ton of time doing it like we do. So that's a really great pool of people to do skill sharing with, because they're already think they're beginners. So really anything that you have to tell them is going to be more than they know. And that means you have something to share right away. So I think you can get started if you kind of fit into that category that I mentioned about, being okay teaching and feeling like you've nailed the certain things that you want to teach, that kind of stuff, and then just being able to get out and get started. So to recap, adding more income streams into your baking business is a key to creating a financial cushion, which is important for baking because it's food related. Food prices fluctuate, sales fluctuate over the year, etc. So we want to have some kind of cushion under us that helps us make ends meet when we need to, that kind of thing. And it's a sustainable business model for long term, because you're separating out where you're finding your income so that you can move to different types of income streams when you need to. Now, you may want to consider adding skill sharing into your current business model, such as what we just talked about, either classes or speaking gigs or recipe sharing or mentorship. These are all ones I've had some experience with before. So those are the ones I'm mentioning today. If you have any other ideas and you feel like, hey, I want to talk about it, you can always sign up for one of the, if you've never used it before, Everyone in the community gets a 20-minute free mentorship session with me, either over phone or Zoom. So if you have an idea and you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. Let's just discuss your situation, and I might be able to kind of turn you in the right direction so you can look at it further or get started with it. Hey, Ange, no worries. I hope you're doing well today. Okay. This month we're touching on a number of income streams like I mentioned at the beginning. We did one last week, we did classes this week, and we've got a couple more coming up. So make sure to tune in and meet me live to discuss every Thursday this month at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, right here in the Facebook group, or catch the replay that day. It'll be linked, it'll be pinned up at the top of the featured post here, and then I will also be putting it on YouTube in just a couple minutes. So you can find it in either place. And we want to help, I just want to help you get a plan together right away. So I want you to use this time, maybe if you have some free time over the summer, or you're just kind of, the wheels are turning and you want to kind of get something together before the holidays come at the end of the year, then I think this is the perfect time to look into it. My personal favorite income stream right now is in the skill sharing is the classes, which we talked about before. I've been teaching design and decorating classes for over 10 years now, and it's definitely changed what I've taught, but they're essentially the routine is the same. And I've been in both a brick and mortar setting when I've professionally taught for other businesses, and also a home mobile business that I have right now since we moved so much with the military. It's easier for me to do this at the moment. Because I've done all that, I have a lot to add to the conversation about these. So I just want to make sure that you join me for that workshop if you have interest in this, because it's going to be well worth your money. It's just 20 bucks. You're going to get all of the information you need to get started with hosting your own classes and developing that trusted income stream, which also has built-in advertising for your baking business too. So if you're teaching baking classes, we can talk about ways to get those class goers to turn into clients. So you can use both of them to kind of funnel through, you know, income essentially from people around you in your community who are really interested in what you're doing. So I'd love to help you get started right away with that. You can sign up for those at the buildabetterbakerynow.com/workshops. You'll see it in there. You can get it as a single class, or you can also get it with a couple replays. We do it by the quarter. So you can get quarter 2 replays with it included for a little bit of a discount as well. So I have everything bundled in there for you if you want more than one class. That's June 18th is when the live session happens. So sign up before June 18th if you want to get all of the bonuses, or in the morning on June 18th, it's at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So anytime before like 3 o'clock, you can sign up, and then I'll put you on the list of everyone who gets the entire bonus package. If you sign up just as a like later as the replay, you won't get everything that comes with it. So that's why you always want to sign up before the live happens. All right, y'all. I hope that's helpful for you today. I look forward to seeing you in the upcoming Hosting Your Baking and Design Classes workshop if you want to learn more about that. Or if you'd like to get into mentorship for more accelerated results that are more focused on what exactly you need help with right now, I would love to see you inside the Elite Mentorship Program, which is just a great way to get weekly coaching, and there's a vault library ready for you in there. We have a private group. You get into the workshops for free every month. So there's a lot happening in there that you can pick and choose from, depending on what it is you need from me. We also have private business strategy calls too. So on Zoom or phone, you can set up your own time with me. We can do a 90-day business plan. We can just talk about one big topic or a couple small topics you want to cover. Whatever you want to do with that 60 minutes, I will help you for the entire time. And you will receive notes and other resources sent over after the call, so you can continue looking into what you need to look into or linking to the other things that you might need. So, okay, I'm here to help, and hope y'all have the best day, and we will see you next week. Bye.